Hello everyone, I'm Stephen Beach, the Executive Director of the Wellesley Community Center. It is Monday, March 2nd. Spring is around the corner, and that means Wellesley-Weston Lifetime Learning is back again with their spring semester, which kicks off a week from today, March 9th, at the Wellesley Community Center. And with us here today is Bruce Belason, President of Lifetime Learning.
Hi, Steve.
So what do we have in the pipeline for the spring semester?
Well, first, let me start off with the fact that this is our second semester at the community center, and the first semester really went successful from our point of view, and our people were very happy with an upgraded facility. So things went very well. For courses, we have 12 courses. We have 2 periods, one from 10 to 11 and one from 11:30 to 12:30. All of our courses meet on Monday mornings at your community center, and we have our semester is 10 weeks long. We have some standard courses like German, poetry, literature, drama, a couple of history courses, which we'll talk a little bit more about, and then perhaps the thing that we're most proud about is we have 3 courses that have different speakers every week. So that's 30 different guest speakers every semester.
That's a lot of instruction, a lot of content.
One of them is American Issues, and our lead-off speaker there is recently, I don't want to say retired, but Representative Mike Capuano. And so that'll be next Monday. The other courses that have different speakers each week are Greater Boston Cultural Institutions, where we have representatives from museums, libraries, art galleries, gardens, etc. And the third one is History Potpourri, where we have a different speaker on a different history topic every week. We have a number of authors. Start off with something called Beantown Girls, which are Red Cross girls in World War II. And that kind of thing, and books for World War II, GIs were a really important thing. So that's our lineup.
So what about our special guest here today?
Well, one of our new courses this semester, and I said I'd talk about history, is going to be Dennis Curran, who's recently retired from the Superior Court judgeship, and he's going to teach a course on great trials in history from his perspective, from a judge's perspective. And I'm going to let Dennis talk about that. What I do want to say is our teachers are all volunteers. They all volunteer their expertise and their time. And we get them in different methods. Sometimes we're very opportunistic, looking or asking for someone to teach, or if someone volunteers, which is what Dennis did, then that's an extra bonus for us.
Sure. It's such an exciting institution. It constantly refreshes itself year after year.
That's true. That's true. We have about 20% of our total enrollment is new every semester. The other important thing with respect to lifetime learning is there is a social aspect of it. And many of our people find that important. And what I mean by social is the camaraderie of people, seniors in life, who are still interested in learning things and contributing what they know in terms of questions. And not infrequently, we have people from our registrants who teach a course or give a lecture in one of the courses.
Interesting.
So now, Dennis, to my right here, was a new registrant with us this past fall, and has an expertise and an interest in teaching class. And well, Dennis, why don't I let you talk about your experience with lifetime learning? And
well, it was serendipitous. I saw the banner out as I was doing one of 20 errands one morning out in front of the Wellesley Community Center, and I said, wow, that sounds interesting. So I looked up the dates and walked in cold by myself to the first program. And I was amazed at the array of courses. I mean, there must be, if you look at the list of the courses, it's like a Jeopardy guest board. I mean, there isn't anything that somebody can't find that they're interested in.
History Potpourri for 200.
Yes. So the course I've designed, actually, I've taught at both Brown and Tufts universities. And there were, having been a Superior Court judge for a number of years, trials, I think, fascinate the human mind.
Indeed.
There are, at any given time, probably 27 reality television programs running on our TVs.
Concurrently, right.
And great trials don't simply end with their verdict. Great trials have a power that echoes throughout history. They've shaped, they've transformed the social, political, and legal landscape. Now, they deserve the description great because they serve as enduring lessons for all of us on issues like social justice, race, abuse of power, and influence. So what I did was I selected, of all the trials that I've seen, internationally and so forth, I focused on, and this was the hard part, selecting 6 of the greatest trials throughout human history.
I can't imagine.
And because I'm from Boston originally, I'm a little prejudiced, so I slipped in a couple of more Massachusetts cases than I probably should have. The 6 cases have to meet 3 tests. They have to have a trial that stands for a principle. The trial had to dramatically show insight into the human condition. And with but one exception, the trial had to demonstrate that despite the passage of centuries, or century in some instances, the legal system that was then in existence shows remarkable consistencies with how trials are conducted today. Now, if I could just expand on that just for a moment, we start with what some people say, oh, some people don't like history. Well, I found that the trial of Socrates was one of the most fascinating studies I could have ever undertaken. I've read more books on Socrates than Socrates wrote, which was 0. Now, this is a trial that occurred 2,500 years ago. Why? What possible relevance could it have to today? I have to tell you, the trial of Socrates has been shown to be a trial of injustice. But as Paul Harvey, do you remember Paul Harvey, the radio commentator?
Paul Harvey was one of the most famous broadcasters ever of modern history.
Oh, well, yeah, I didn't know that part of it. But he used to say, now we'll hear the rest of the story. Do you remember that?
Indeed.
So each one of these trials is going to tell you the rest of the story. And I think people will be surprised to hear a lot of these things. My point about the trial that I'm starting with from 2,500 years ago, and I'm not going to take us through centuries of trials, but I just want to tell you the most astounding thing to me as a judge to learn was the utterly remarkable similarities between the trial of Socrates and a trial that would be conducted in any Massachusetts courthouse on any workday of the week. I was blown away that people 2,500 years ago understood fundamental fairness. Now, granted, obviously the system's been tinkered with over the years, but the procedural similarities are striking. That's the real story behind the trial of Socrates. We do the Boston Massacre trial, which is fascinating, because the 250th anniversary of that trial, coincidentally, is in 2 days. 250 years is 2 days from now. And then we go on to other trials, like the trial of John Brown. Was he a martyr, political martyr, or was he simply, to be honest with you, a nutcase? The trial of the Lincoln assassination conspirators. Now, what does that have to do with the modern day? The issue of the military versus the civilian tribunal, the Guantanamo Bay issue. The issue is as alive today as it was 170 years ago. So those are some of the trials that we focus on. The most fascinating trial, I'll just finish with this, is called The Disappearance of Dr. Parkman. Dr. Park, and it's also, the subtitle is Blood and Ivy at the Harvard Medical School. This is, from a legal standpoint, judges will know this case. It's called the Commonwealth versus John Webster case. It involved the murder of a very famous Boston patrician, Dr. George Parkman, by a fellow professor at the Harvard Medical School. The murder here occurred right here in Boston on the site of what is now the Massachusetts General Hospital. That's where Harvard Medical School was located 170 years ago. That story is fascinating for the legal tenets, doctrines that came from that particular trial. Over 60,000 Bostonians attended that trial. Cramped quarters.
Goodness.
60,000 people rotated in and out.
Wow.
So that is a fascinating study of the human condition. So that's it in a nutshell. I encourage everybody to come, including you, Steve.
I just might sit in on that. So again, folks, remember Wellesley-Weston Lifetime Learning, the spring semester commences a week from today, March 9th, at the Wellesley Community Center, Monday morning at 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Very good.
And I'd like to add one comment.
Yes, sir.
Dennis was certainly eloquent and passionate in what he was speaking about. You're going to find that in the other 11 courses as well. We have really dedicated teachers. They're there because they want to be, and they want to impart what they've learned in their lifetime.
No doubt.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. We look forward to seeing you next time.